Hey everybody. Um, Welcome back. Oh my gosh. This is kind of ridiculous. I've been gone for such a long time. but um but also
Kind of ridiculous.
I'm
I've been
very
gone
excited to be
for
back.
such a long time.
Of course now I'm let me do
but
that. Now I don't hear myself. Isn't that wonderful? Uh, so I have been gone quite a while. Welcome back to the Turnout. I am your host, Eloy. Um, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, all the stuff. But seriously, guys, I've missed y'all. The reasons behind me taking such an extended break, the second half of 2021, uh, there were multiple reasons. Professionally, personally, mentally, there was a lot going on. The largest of which was some health concerns for members of my family. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to come and talk about pop culture and stuff that I like. I was very consumed, but a lot of that has calmed down. So I am here now, and we're finally going to be able to talk about some of the Charmed stuff. And I want to talk about Charmed season 3. I want to discuss and get into a little bit of the ending of season 3. I want to talk about some stuff going into season 4. And then I would also love to kind of give you guys an idea of what to expect going forward in terms of frequency here and whatnot. Because things have settled. They are not 100% settled. But things have settled enough that I can at least jump on here. And I was like, hey, what better way? I mean, I could do like a whole recorded thing, but why not just jump on here with a live stream and hang out with some of my favorite people? Davian, hello. Charm Power Babe, hello. Madness Arcade was here earlier, possibly gone now. Who knows? But hello to everybody who, shows up. And I've been gone for a while. So if no one shows up, I completely understand. But at least I have a couple of people here, so it's all good. But I really wanted to talk about that season 3, the way that they finished off season 3 of Charmed, because there was something about season 3, and of course, as always. Feel free to chat whatever in the chat. I'm reading and going along. If something jumps out at me, then I will, I'll address it in the moment. Otherwise, I have stuff to say here. So, um, overall, I will say the season 3 was pretty good. I feel that a lot of the stuff in season 3 ended up getting rushed. There was a lot of rushed stuff. Specifically, the time frame of when these episodes were supposed to happen. They would have weeks of downtime in between, or there would be weeks of active stuff that we didn't get to see. And then they would tell us, "Hey, oh man, it's been 6 weeks of us not sleeping." It's like, well, you should have. Maybe we could have had week after week, and we could have seen them start you know get burdened down with the responsibility and get drained of their energy. Like, I think it would have been really cool to see it as opposed to have been told it. But again, I think they were working with, obviously, COVID restrictions, a shorter season, making up for stuff that they had to kind of redo or address from the previous season, as well as they needed to build stuff into the new season. Like, specifically, I feel like Josefina, her whole storyline was just overall insanely rushed. And if anybody watched those episodes, like, I was watching them and I was just like, oh, so this is the episode where now all she's been talking about is getting her power. This is the episode where where the Perfecti offer her power, and then she's going to go for it. Oh, I'm so surprised. So it wasn't that surprising, is what I'm saying. There were certain story beats that they had to hit in order for it to make sense, but they didn't have the time to do it. So with all of that in mind, that plays a lot into why the last couple of episodes of season 3 weren't super super strong, I guess would be the way to say it. They really rushed a lot of it because they were trying to get Abigail gone, but in a good way. Like, they needed to wrap up her story. They needed to wrap up Josefina's story. They needed to obviously get Waverly and, like, get everybody out of the show. It's a weird way to say it, but they were like, we need to get everybody out who's not going to be here next season. And hey, get out of here. But we also want to try and wrap up the whole thing. We need to get rid of everybody, and then we need to get rid of Maisie. So there's a whole lot of stuff. Harry trying to give up his powers and then trying to get him back at the end was setting up Jordan. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Ending was okay. I'm sad Macy left. I hope she visits as a ghost or something. I mean, it could happen. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it could happen. Most definitely. I mean, I have not seen anything where Madeline Mantock has said, like, I'm never coming back. Like, she said she's leaving the show as a regular, but that doesn't mean she can't come back here and there if if she's got downtime between filming her other stuff, because I'm sure she's moving on to bigger and better things. But let's talk about that, though, because the I Dreamed a Dream episode was, I feel, very good. And yeah, and we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to sum it up here. Like, they ended up beating the big bad pretty quickly. And honestly, it was all in a really weird way. It kind of makes sense for the story, but also was very, very rushed. Like, oh, we have to get the fungus, and that's how we're going to defeat it. And then it takes Macy over, so she eats the fungus, and then that kills it, which is good. But then now she's going to die. And it's like, oh, no. But it's also like, like, I understand that she was like, it's actually really a heroic thing for her to do, was to sacrifice herself. Like, she knew that eating it was going to kill her. So, it was good. So then the whole episode is them basically, like, living all of Macy's dreams. And I think that I'm going to, like, there's like the drive, and then there's like the hanging out in the field and looking at the sky, and her wedding, and like all this stuff. And it actually is like super sentimental, very emotional. The cinematography in it, the ideas behind it, I feel like everything was just, it was so well written, and I feel like it was put together in such an effective way. But I think it's kind of what you just said, Charm Power Babe. You just said, I also really hate that in the final episode, they finally showed us those sisterly moments. And I think that's the issue, is that there were all these really big sisterly moments, all of these huge things in their lives, but it almost didn't feel right, because their relationship was never that super strong. Or if it was, they never showed us that in the show. It seemed like it was two sisters, and then Macy was there, and she was like a close friend. But I personally never felt the strong sisterly attachment with the Power of Three. And I feel like maybe it's not necessary, and maybe that's setting up for season 4 and a new charmed one coming in, because it doesn't need to be a sister. It can just be somebody who has a strong connection. And I think that that's fine too. I've also been the one that has said this whole time, I have 3 brothers. I get along fairly well with one of them. And then, like, the other 2 are like, they're my brothers. I mean, what are you going to do? So that doesn't destroy the bond of brotherhood or whatever. It's like we're going to be brothers regardless of how we feel about each other. And if the world was in danger, we could work together. We could work together to solve that. So, I guess that's where the show kind of faltered with this final episode, with this finale of season 3, is that the ending was kind of almost too good and too inspirational, emotional. I think it was a really good send-off for Macy, and there's interesting implications to a lot of the stuff. I mean, so what I'm going to say is there's a bunch of stuff that happens in the dreams, and I actually really like those shots. Let's talk about the stuff that happened outside of the dreams, though, because I think that's where the real meat of this episode really lies. They had to bring in Jordan, and Celeste were trying to basically give Harry back his white lighter powers, and in the process, Jordan absorbed some of that white lighter power because he had to kind of be there. Now I think that he is now a white lighter. Of course, we don't know yet because the new season hasn't started quite yet. We have a couple of months, month and a half-ish, somewhere around there. So, we have stuff. And I've been sitting here like, man, he's such a good character, Jordan, that if they were able to do white lighters again, which obviously Celeste was, the creator of the white lighter ritual. And I really liked that too, that Celeste was like, I know how to do it now too. I know how to do it, so we don't need to do the whole dark lighter thing because we can do it without that. I've learned my lesson. So that's cool, right? So Harry is now Harry's Harry, right? Harry's Harry. But pointing to Jordan, I love the idea of Jordan being a white lighter because now Jordan doesn't have a dark lighter, white lighter side. He's just now a person who can have some of the white lighter powers. Maybe. We know that he can heal because that's what happened at the end, is that he healed, I think it was Mel. Was it Mel or was it Mag? I'm looking at my notes here. So, oh no, yeah, because he touched Mags and then like her cut hand healed. So it was an interesting moment. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with that. Looking forward into season 4, I would love to see Harry be less of obviously the love interest character, because I never liked that. I don't know if anybody's been watching me since the very beginning, but since season 1, when I've been going over these episodes, I'm like, please don't make Hasty a thing, because it felt really skeezy. Kind of like when a vampire goes after a young girl. It felt like that. It's just like, you're hundreds of years old, but you're going after like a 20-year-old. Like, what? This doesn't make any sense. So I never necessarily liked the idea, the initial of Hasty, and I think it built into something that was workable. But I mean, no, I was never really on board with that relationship. As much as I like both of those characters, I don't really feel like they belong together. But they were going for the whole witch white lighter, this is forbidden thing, callbacks to the original series. That's what they were trying to go for. But in this case, I'm excited to see Harry return back to just being a white lighter. And now he's technically the only living white lighter, still around. So that now opens up a whole storyline where now he can now mentor Jordan in being a white lighter. And I think every time that Harry and Jordan had scenes together, they were always really interesting. I think they play off of those two actors. They play off of each other very well. So I like the idea of them having more scenes together. At the same time, those obviously should take a back seat to introducing this new sister, this new charmed one, I should say, because I've seen a lot of people who are like, I don't know how they're going to explain the new sisters, and it's like, I read an interview that they said the new charmed one will not be a sister. So they have laid that out, and I have seen a lot of people in the fan base say, like, if they're not a blood sister, then I'm not even going to watch the show anymore. And I'm like, really? Like that's a weird line in the sand to draw, in my opinion. Just like, they're trying to take different inspirations, and I've been following the Twitter of some of the writers, and they're like, it's gonna pay off in the end, and we're gonna actually spend the whole season explaining in small snippets how this new witch is now one of the charmed ones, and how the power links back. It's not going to be a wham bam and the explanation is there. So I'm excited about that, just because it is something new, like there's only so many lost sisters. I'm pretty sure that Marisol was not a complete hoe. Like, oh, I went and had just babies everywhere. It's like, no, like she had babies with a couple of dudes that she loved. One of them was secret, but we also learned why. It was, to protect her and whatnot. So, there were reasons, and I think that they did a good job explaining it. If they were to introduce yet another sister that they didn't know about, I think that would just be kind of dumb. I mean, just to get quite honest, I think it would be kind of dumb. I'm noticing a few more people have shown up, so hello to everybody who has shown up. Feel free to jump in the chat. I'm actually going to start hitting some of these things real quick, because because honestly, that's where we are. There's not a ton of information to garner. Like, we're really just going to have to wait to watch the show. And I know that some people love like spilling over every tweet and trying to watch all the trailers and dissect the stuff. I'm less of that person. I'm more of the kind of person who loves to watch it in the moment without any spoilers or anything, because I want to be surprised. I don't want to know everything going into it, but I also understand that I am in the minority here. So let me see. So Davian says, I have a feeling Mel and Harry will get closer. Maggie might dislike the next sister, charmed one, which is unlike her, but she is closer to Macy. So, and honestly, I think that this may end up changing the dynamics, just how when Prue died, it changed the dynamics. The middle sister became the older sister, the younger sister became the middle sister, and then now there was a new younger sister. So we'll have to see where the new charmed one kind of falls in the dynamics. But the thing with Mel is that it's not even that necessarily of a big deal to switch back to older sister, because she has always been the older sister to Maggie. Now, yes, Macy was older, but she came in, and it didn't necessarily, make Mel a middle sister then at that point, because she still was overbearing and, and everything, kind of like an older sister. So even being the middle sister, she still kind of was the older sister, which I actually enjoyed that part of Mel as a character, is that it didn't get bogged down in kind of stereotyping and stuff. Like, no, she was her, regardless. But now it will be a new thing, I think, for Maggie. If the new charmed one comes in and is on the younger side, it'll be a new thing for Maggie to now have to not necessarily be the young one anymore. So I think that is going to be an interesting kind of angle that they can take on the new Charmed series, is trying to figure out how is this new dynamic working. And it's going to work differently, just because, I mean, there's really no way around it. Like, it's going to work differently now. I see a question here is, when will Josefina be back? I kind of want to I'm going on to, and I apologize now, I'm like getting all tongue tied. I'm going to the cast and whatnot, because I wanted to just see where Josefina, that's not displaying correctly. I wish that it would display correctly. Okay, well, I guess I'm not going to be able to see it here. But as I'm still talking, I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to see if I can find Josefina. Do we know Josefina's real name? I guess that's the question. But I think though that there's a lot of potential with this show, and I think that now that they've wrapped up a lot of the things, I feel like we're holding it back. I think that there is quite a few places where we can expand on the show, hopefully in not such like world breaking ways. So let's see where I would like Maggie to go. I want Maggie to become kind of more her own person. I want her to be less childish, which I think possibly to move her into a middle, sister kind of format and hierarchy of characterization. I think that that might help in order for that to happen. For Mel, I would actually, I want her to go back and see Nico. I want a Nico Ruby thing to happen. I don't know what I want to have happen with that, but I want Nico to come back because I feel like now that she's back alive, and I feel like maybe magic has been disrupted, and I feel like maybe now some of their previous spells could be lifted, and now Nico's got her memories back, and now Nico and Ruby have to contest for Mel's love, and I think that could actually be kind of interesting if we were going to go the romantic route. If Jordan is sticking around, I just have Mags and Jordan get together, or don't. I don't want any more will they, won't they in that couple anymore. I want them to either be together, or I want them to decide not to be together and just be done with it. We've had so much will they, won't they. I'm done. I'm done with it. They either need to or they need to not to. That's what I say. For the new sister, honestly, I just hope that they really take the time and go more in depth into where she came from. The new charmed one, I guess I should say. The new charmed one, where she came from, what she's doing there. They did say that she is going to have a brand new power. So she's not just going to pick up Macy's telekinesis. She is going to have her own power. So that could be interesting as well. But honestly, I would love for the show to focus more on the sisterhood and less on trying to get a boyfriend, trying to get a girlfriend. So I think that all the stuff I've been talking about needs to take a back seat to reestablishing the connection between the charmed ones. And they started doing a thing in season 3, which I liked, which was kind of at the end of every episode, they would have a they would have a kind of moment where the sisters would be together in some way, and they would kind of reflect on what just happened in the episode. And they did that for, I'd say, about 3/4 of the episode. They had this kind of decompression, debrief kind of moment, and I loved that. I loved that they did that because it kind of did give us an insight. Like, it's not just everything's happening and everything is chaos. Like, no, there are those moments of peace. And in those moments of peace is when they've sat down and they connect with each other and they talk about their lives and what's happening. And I liked that they were doing that more. I hope that they bring that back in season 3. I do want them to go more into a Monster of the Week. But I've always said this: Monster of the Week with an overarching plot. We need to have the episodes be individually digestible, and each one should feed into the overall plot. Buffy did that well. Angel did that well. There's a lot of shows that actually do that quite well. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did that pretty darn well, in my opinion. And I watch a lot of different shows, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a good example of that as well. Ensemble cast, each episode individually digestible, but feeding into an overall theme or, arc. So that's what you want in this sort of thing. You don't want everything to be so crazy plot driven, but you also don't want it to be insanely episodic either, because then that's when people start to tune out. And honestly, that's kind of how I felt with season 1, where it was almost too episodic, but then season 2 was too plot driven. I think season 3 did a good job of trying to balance those two things, but then they were rushed. So now going into season 4 with enough time that we don't need to feel rushed, we don't need to mess around, and we don't need to waste storylines on a single episode. We have room to breathe. We have new things to talk about, new stories, new setting elements, new characters. I feel like this is the season where it's going to happen. I think this is when it's going to happen. Hello to Sean, by the way. Hey. So I think this is where we really have the moment to really expand on this show, and I think make this show what I feel like what it should have been all along, and where I was hoping that it would go. But that is just how the world works. Hey to Ray. Yeah. So what are you saying, Ray? I think the new showrunners are doing their own thing, so it will be a 4th soft reboot. Well, I guess so. I think that the idea of a soft reboot would be like to almost ignore what happened before. I don't think that that's what's happened. I feel like every season has built upon the one before it, but I think they need to be cohesive just a little bit more. I would like it to not be a complete soft reboot. And I said this going into season 3. I want what has happened to feed into what is going to happen. And obviously, the death of Macy is going to hopefully weigh very heavily on Mags and Macy and Harry and Jordan to an extent. I never really felt like Jordan and Macy had that deep of a connection. But that's also because Macy was so focused on Harry that there was no connection to be had. So I could also see maybe in the first few episodes, Harry might just be completely depressed and not able to do anything. And then maybe he's not the mentor to Jordan. Maybe Jordan's like, I have to figure this out by myself because he's a wreck, but I still need to protect the sisters in this kind of area. So I think that this could be interesting. I feel like all of everything that has happened that has led up to this, I feel like it's really leading into something that could be amazing. So I'm very, very excited for season 4. I want Jordan to be the best again. I want him to be the best character going forward, which he already is. I want him to continue doing that. He's, amazing, and he's my special flower, and I hope that he will continue to be his amazing self. But now he's his amazing self and can teleport and heal people. But that was kind of the thing too, is that Celeste says, removing the dark lighter part of it was part of the process. There had to have been a reason for it. So maybe there might even be side effects for Jordan because his dark side was not removed. It could be something like that. Who even knows? There are so many like little loose threads that the new writers could tug on. I think it could be good. I also feel though that, and that's actually a really good point there, Ray, is that please give us another Alistair level threat behind the scenes. So I feel like that's where a lot of this has kind of faltered. A lot of what has happened in the shows for seasons 2 and 3 is that I don't feel like there was an easily discernible bad guy. And again, like it's usually a good idea you should introduce your bad guy, if not in the first episode. If they're particularly scheming, then you should introduce them by at least episode 3 or 4. And then there should be things happening in the dark, in the background, before they actually even engage the big bad. And then, usually the second half of the season is now we know what the big bad is. How do we even stop him? We have to figure out how to stop the big bad while also dealing with all of these episodic things. And then by the end, you defeat the bad guy. But what's happened in the last few seasons is that the big bad of seasons 2 and 3 have been kind of hidden until the very end, and then they dispatch with the bad guy very easily. So that's what I would really love. I would love a more arcing storyline, not just for the charmed ones and the characters that we know and love, but if they're going to introduce a new big bad, I think that they need to build up to that. And it needs to also, I feel it needs to be, as much as I love the gray area that has been introduced into Charmed with the reboot, I feel like we need to take a step back from the gray area unless the writers are really ready to address the gray area. Until then, I think that whatever bad guy, bad girl, big bad is there for season 4, I think it needs to easily be the bad guy. We need to know that it's bad, and we need to know why it's bad, and we need to know why it's important that we stop them. And less of a, well, they're bad, but I kind of get what they're doing because maybe I agree with them now. Does that make me bad? That part we probably just need to get away from that. I think we need to get into a little bit simpler storytelling terrain here, because otherwise it's too hard, right? It's too hard to have so many things happening and also have so much gray area. I mean, that was most of what I was yelling about during season 2, especially that they kept introducing all of these strange world-changing setting elements but then treating them, and they were completely gray area, but then treating them like they were black and white. And I'm like, no, you're introducing too much gray, but you're not ready to handle it. So that's my take on that, at least, I will say. But in the reboot, it seemed like Harry and Macy were one and the same person in season 2 and 3. Every episode, there was some sort of side story about their relationship, which I did not care for. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there was too much. Actually, I liked how they handled it in season 2. But when it kept going on in season 3, I did not like that as much. And that's why, if that's gone, cool. Don't try and recreate the will they, won't they with Mags and Jordan. Because we've also had that concurrently with that, simultaneously. We just need to have them just taken care of. We just need to have it happen. I'm really thinking and hoping they make the crazy old man the big bad, let him get his powers back and be the new big bad. Oh, what? You mean that super old demon that lived off in the mountains and stuff? Yeah. That's actually really cool. That might have been the plan if it was the same showrunners. They were probably setting that up because honestly, you're right. That leads really well into that old crazy demon coming back and trying to get his revenge. At the same time, since it's new showrunners, possibly not. They're probably going to be like, Macy's dead. A lot of stuff has changed. Let's just move forward and let's figure our own stuff out. Let's introduce something new. And I know that if I was running the show, I would want to do that. So if the new showrunners are coming in and they want to add something new, I feel like it's best for us as the watchers to give them that room to experiment and to do their own thing, and hope that it doesn't become Riverdale 2.0, which nothing could reach Riverdale levels. Nothing, it's not possible is what I'm saying. So it's crazy. Like the live stream. Yes. If you guys hit the like, make sure you're hitting like, because the more likes we get, then the more that YouTube's like, oh, I guess maybe we should go tell people about the live stream. So I feel like the new Charmed one is going to bring in, there's so much room there. There's so much area for that. So here's it. All I'm thinking is how Mel is pregnant. So Mel probably gets pregnant in the same way that most people get pregnant. That's my thought. One thing that I had thought about is that maybe this new Charmed one is that baby from the future? I'm just thinking. I threw this out at Maria over at gosh. Maria over at the other channel that I go to all the time. You guys can tell that I'm out of practice. It's Approach the Nerd. Thank you. I just realized what, I don't know why, it just popped in my brain, Approach the Nerd. So Maria over at Approach the Nerd. Thank you, Sean. You caught it. I caught myself right before you posted it. So Maria over Approach the Nerd, I did kind of a prediction kind of thing over there. When I had a free day the other day, I wasn't quite ready to come back and start the channel again, but I was like, I have an hour to talk with Maria. I talk to Maria when we're not recording too, because she's fun. I threw that out there. I said, what if the new Charmed one isn't a sister, but is then still kind of related by blood, because it's now it's the baby from the future now coming back, and that's why I'd be interested to see if that's the direction that they go in. And there's a lot of ways to disprove that that's even what they would want to do. Because just because it's an out there idea, but also they had to have introduced this baby for some reason. It couldn't have just been a reason for them to go to the future and all that stuff. I don't know. The Whispering Evil I didn't necessarily like. I like the idea of the Whispering Evil. I didn't like that they used Jordan as the bad guy. Don't mess with Jordan, or I'll fight somebody. That's also another thing. Or it could be a former Charmed one, because what we learned. Thank you, Sean. See, Sean's on the ball here. Thank you, Sean. Because here's the thing. Yes, and you just said maybe the new powers will be something involving gravity or force fields. I had said that. See, I had said that before. I had said that I think that it would be an awesome idea for some Charmed one along the way to have force fields to be a power. So because they're all about protecting and all of that stuff. I feel like it could be amazing if force fields was about power, and just force fields. Let's not do Sue Storm levels of like, I'm going to create a force field inside your body and expand it and make you explode. Like, let's just say you can create fields of energy around things, not inside things. That's the problem with the Fantastic Four in general, is like, as much as everybody's just like, well, they can do, each one has their own power, and it's just like, and then their powers just go beyond, and then it's stupid then at that point. Force fields should just be force fields. Bam. So the Whispering Evil equals COVID. I know. And that's why I give them a little bit of leeway with season 3, because they were fighting a lot of things. They were fighting COVID. They were fighting having to make up for season 2. They were fighting having reduced episodes. So, I mean, there was a lot going on in season 3 that was fighting against, I feel like, the quality. It made them rush things. And it was, that's why season 3 was actually really dope. If you take those things into account and you realize everything that they were working with, and that those episodes were still pretty strong, that I think that shows like the quality level that was in season 3. So now with season 4, we're going to have a lot more room to breathe. And that means this should be a really, really amazing show. So in season 4, I'm very much looking forward to it. Are they going to remain in safe space and in Seattle? They don't need to. We don't know. So I guess that should be the first thing. I don't know. These are my thoughts. They could stay in Seattle because it's familiar and it would be an easy way for them to use some of the same characters. I don't know how Ruby feels about moving, because Ruby lives there. So if they were to move it to another location, then that would be a whole other discussion with whether Mel and Ruby were going to stay together, which I'm pretty sure Ruby has been slated already for being in season 4, which would tell me that they're probably staying put. On the other side of that, I would say move them to a completely new location, just for a change of scenery, just for just to change up everything, because and honestly, not that they've spent many episodes outside of their like key locations, but I think that moving in general refreshes your spirit, gives you a new start in a new town. And maybe that's what they need. It's not like in Buffy where like it had to take place in Sunnydale because that's where the Hellmouth was. Like, no, it's like it could be anywhere, especially with their ability to teleport. It doesn't necessarily matter where they are. So, yeah, I feel like moving him to a new city would then introduce also new areas of storylines and stuff, because then you can start using the environment more, because like they're in Seattle, but nothing about Seattle has ever been in the show. You know what I mean? Like it's not a show in Seattle. It's just like it's kind of taking place in Seattle, but it's not in Seattle. Seattle is not a character in the show. You know, like in Buffy, Sunnydale is a character. And like let's Friends. In Friends, New York is a character. Like in Seinfeld, New York is a character. In Atlanta, obviously Atlanta is a character. You know, where you are is important to the story. And honestly, I haven't seen that in Charmed yet. In this reboot, where they are doesn't necessarily matter, especially now that the house can teleport. They should totally just go they should just move it somewhere else. Maybe they're like, we need a fresh start. That's my thought either. But what I will say though about Safe Space is that, remember when Julian died, Safe Space was left to Macy, and then that would mean now that Macy's dead, even with Safe Space being kind of under, you know, because, you know, wasn't making a lot of money. There were a bunch of episodes about needing to reinvigorate the brand and trying to get everybody to come back to Safe Space again. Even if that's the case, that would still go to probably the sisters, because she didn't have any other next of kin. So it would likely go to her sisters, and there you go. Like, you know, the Safe Space would go to the sisters, and then we can just assume that they probably will sell it, and you know, or maybe they'll give it to Swan, and you know, screw the money. Maybe we don't need money because we have a teleporting house. So, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Is like there's a whole lot of stuff that could just happen behind the scenes, and they could just say like, well, you know, now that we're done in Safe Space, it was better for us to move back, you know, to move somewhere else away from where all the craziness was. And thank you, David. Thank you, David. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat, but also I appreciate you showing up for my first, you know, live stream back. So, and same to everybody here who has shown up, by the way. Again, at the beginning of this, I was like, I would understand if no one showed up. I've been gone for over 6 months due to family reasons and whatnot. So I completely understand if people were like, nah, I don't even need to go back to him. I found new people to talk to go and listen to. But I appreciate each and every one of you for coming and chatting with me. Thank you. I did want to hit, there's one of you guys was talking about Kristen, and I missed it. Here it is. Ray, I think Maria mentioned she heard something about phasing. I think it was Maria or Kristen. I so want it to, God, I can't even freaking read today. I so want it to be a translocation witch to kind of fit the mode of the full witch page type. I don't think translocation is necessary. I feel like since everybody can teleport because with the marbles, I don't think it's necessary. So I mean, that's just me. I think force fields is a great idea. I'm hoping that Josefina comes back because I like plant control as a thing. Not everybody does, but I actually love plant control. Like Sky High was one of my very favorite movies, and I loved the girl who could control plants, because that's like a dope like power. Plant control. Poison Ivy is a beast. So I would definitely be okay with that. So let me I'm going to share this real quick, because we have Let me do a window. I can do this one and do this. Okay. So see, I can just share this with you guys. We got, how can I make this bigger for you guys? There we go. So here's the cast of the first episode of season 4. So we're gonna have Harry. So he's not going on sabbatical that we had thought, or maybe he shows up at the beginning and says, "I'm going on sabbatical," and then leaves. Obviously Maggie, obviously Mel. Then we have Myra Lowe as Bryn. So this is going to be a new character. We have Lucy Barrett. So that's going to be the new charmed one. We have Kapil Talwalkar. That dude's handsome. That dude's handsome as crap. Jeez. All right. So we're going to have Kapil in there. Koppel? I think it's Koppel. We're going to have Koppel in there. And correct me if I'm wrong at any point. Jordan, obviously, my man. And then we're going to have a new bar patron. Oh. I was reading it like his first name was Bar, last name Patron. All right. So when they have bar patron, and then professor. So there we go. That's what we got. So that's like the major cast for the season 4. So we can already see here, Jordan's actually cast last, and that's actually a thing. So that's a thing that, like, whenever you're listing the cast, it's usually in order of either appearance or importance to the episode, something like that. So that means that we're going to see, Harry, and then Maggie and Mel. Then this new character, Bryn, is going to come in somehow and introduce Lucy. And then Lucy is going to have a friend Lucy's not the name, and then Koppel's probably going to be Lucy's friend. And then Jordan's going to come in and be like, "What's happening here?" And then, okay. And that was pretty bad, but that's how I see it happening anyway. But it's interesting to see that. And yeah, Sean, I like a diverse cast. I think it's great. I feel like it reflects humanity more. But also, it's cool. I like it. I'm hoping that it's going to be really cool. I have really high hopes for this next season, especially since, again, I've been following the Twitter and like all the writers and the actors and everything. Like everybody's super excited about it. So I'm going to be excited on their behalf because they're super excited. It's making me excited. So definitely, hello. To Decidius. Hello. Yes, I am back. Thank you so much for coming and checking us out too during this very impromptu live stream. So what I want to do here is I'm going to go over, feel free to continue talking and putting stuff. Where did I find that? That's on IMDb. IMDb is where I go for most of my stuff. So going forward, I am going to end up, hey, Blue Savior. Do I think that Mel and Maggie will take the death the hardest and be reluctant to accept Lucy? I feel like Harry is going to take it the hardest. And I feel like Maggie and Mel will also be hurt. But again, like they're already a team. And then Macy came in. So Macy leaving, they're still that team. So they're still there to support each other. So I don't feel like there's going to be that big of a difference in terms of their reaction, especially when a new person comes in. It's going to be adding a third person again, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be that hard for them to do so, especially with them being so invested in being the charmed ones and knowing that they need to reinstate the power of 3, otherwise the world can go into chaos. Hey everybody, this is my son Evan. And he's here to ask me a question, which I'm sure is super important for interrupting my live stream. What are you going to ask me, sir?
I wanted to ask you, what are you doing?
I'm doing a live stream. I'm talking to some of the people who follow my channel called The Turnout, and we're talking about Charmed, which is one of our favorite shows. And they're saying, "Hey, young king," and David calls you a cutie.
Wait, there's someone named David at my school.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's David is a very common name.
Yeah, there's 2 Davids at my school.
But yeah, everybody's saying hello, so say hi.
Die.
All right.
Die.
And what do you need?
and Mama said, "What are you doing?" And you said a live stream. And Mama, you didn't answer Mama's text.
I know, because I'm doing a live stream. Go tell her I'm doing a live stream. Oh, the youth. So I'm wrapping it up here though anyway, so that's okay. And thank you to everybody again who showed up. Going forward, I know that we have, like I said, about a month and a half until we get the new Charmed. So what I'm going to end up doing is I actually made a list of different topics based on a 30-day movie challenge that I saw. And I was like, well, there's a 30-day movie challenge, so let me answer each of the things. You know, like what's your favorite movie from a genre you don't like, or what's what's a movie that always makes you cry or whatever. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to make 30 new episodes of the Turnout, and it won't be like right now, it won't be like 31 after another, or maybe it will. That's actually something I've been toying around with, maybe doing a like 30 straight days of videos. That could be fun. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so I have like 30 new topics, as well as others, and as well as more Charm stuff, and as well as more news things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff for us to talk about. And I would love to just share more of my love of movies and TV and stuff with you guys. So hopefully you aren't just here for Charmed. As much as I love talking about Charmed, I love talking about a lot of other things as well, which is kind of what this channel was all kind of based on. I know that it went very Buffy and Charmed heavy, but I like a lot of different things. So I'm going to keep talking about all of the things that I love in pop culture, TV and movies. But Charmed is still going to be amazing. I still love Charmed. But so I have a bunch of different things. One of those videos is going to be on Sky High, because of course it will be. I just mentioned it, which is why it's fresh in my brain right now. But I'm going to, like I said, make some videos based on this random criteria that popped up, and I went through and I was like, man, this is an interesting collection of movies that I would love to discuss. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully you guys will all be back in the saddle with the Turnout here. I just want to say I just love you all so much, and I'm very excited to be back. I'm going to try and go for, a video a week is what I'm going to shoot for, and we'll see where we go from there. And obviously we have Charmed coming back in about a month and a half. So will I also be talking about Encanto? Encanto was not on my list. But I can talk about Encanto. I've seen it now 3 times. It's a darn good movie. I will totally watch that. I will watch it again and make notes, but I've been watching a lot of things, and I've been keeping a list of everything that I've been watching. And that list is very long, 41 new shows that I've never talked about before, that, and I'm just talking shows. This is 41 new shows that I've watched that I've not really even talked about here on the channel. So I need to do that. So, 31 movies, 40 TV shows, we definitely have lots to talk about. What I'm thinking about also doing would be, and I guess you guys can let me know, is setting up a regular time for us to live stream, maybe once a week. Then I don't even need to really even do these as maybe individual videos. Maybe we just, every Sunday at, 1:30, we come and we stream, and you guys can join me. So you know what? Put in the comments after this video is over. Put in the comments what time and day is actually good for y'all to come, and maybe we'll just make it a regular live stream. That could be fun. I mean, probably in addition to other videos, but we could spend an hour and I could go through like 3 or 4 different movies and talking about them and stuff. So that could be fun. So the Gossip Girl reboot, I'll hit a couple of these. Gossip Girl reboot, I have not watched it. I also never watched the original. So I don't know if I'm necessarily the best person to address that. Legacies, I'm not even sure what show that is. Let me put that on my list, and I will look that up. Legacies. I've been watching a lot of Drag Race, where they're lip syncing for their legacy. That's a whole other thing. But But yes. So then there's the new Buffy series that you're talking about. New Buffy series is going to be, that's going to be a comic. So Peacemaker, yes. So Peacemaker is one of those that I've been really enjoying. Peacemaker, by the way. Peacemaker is so stupid and amazing at the same time. And Shantae, I stay. Exactly, Sean. So yeah, so like I said, there's a bunch of stuff. You keep putting I've got all the ones here in the chat, but I'm going to end the live stream. Put other shows that you'd like for me to talk about in the comments of this video. Also, when is good for us to possibly have a new weekly stream where I can just show up and like, hey, for an hour every week, I know that I'm going to get to hang out with you guys. So hit me up in the comments. Let me know. Otherwise, this has been a turnout. I've been your host, Eloy. Thanks for showing up, and I will check you guys later. I'm so excited to be back. Thank you.